acceleration due to gravity on the surface of Earth. Earth is assumed to be a uniform solid sphere with a mean density. We know that density equals mass upon volume, then rho equals m by 4 pi cube r cube. Therefore, it equals to capital M equals rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube. We know that G equals capital Gm over r square. On substituting the value of m, we get small g equal 4 by 3 pi rho capital R into capital G at any distance r from the center of the Earth. G equals 4 by 3 pi rho r capital G. The value of acceleration due to gravity G is affected by point 1 altitude above the Earth's surface, point 2 depth below the Earth's surface, point 3 the shape of the Earth, point 4 rotational motion of the Earth, variation of G with height. Acceleration due to gravity at a height h from the surface of the Earth. You can see that acceleration of gravity from the surface of the Earth in the diagram is shown. Consider a test mass small m at a height small h from the surface of the Earth. Now, the force acting on the test mass due to gravity is F equals capital G capital M into small m over r plus h whole square, where m is the mass of Earth and r is the radius of the Earth. The acceleration due to gravity at a certain height is h. Then mgh equals capital G capital M into small m over r plus h to the whole square. Gh equal capital Gm into bracket r square into small bracket 1 plus h over r square, that is equation first. The acceleration due to gravity on the surface of the Earth is given by G equal capital G m over r square. On dividing equation 1 and 2, we get G h equals G 1 plus h over r minus 2. This is the acceleration due to gravity at a height above the surface of Earth. Observing the above formula, we can say that the value of G decreases with increases in height of an object, and the value of G becomes 0 at infinite distance from the Earth. This is the acceleration due to gravity at a height above the surface of the Earth. Observing the above formula, we can say that the value of G decreases with increases in height of an object, and the value of G becomes 0 at infinite distance from the Earth. Note, when height is very much from the radius, then the value of G at height h is given by G h equals G over 1 minus 2 h by r. Variation of G below the surface of Earth. You can see that in the diagram how we are finding the variation of gravity below the surface of Earth. Consider a test mass m taken to a distance d below the Earth's surface. The acceleration due to gravity at that point Gd is obtained by taking the value of G in terms of density. On the surface of the earth, the value of G is given by G equals 4 by 3 into pi rho capital R into capital G at a distance d below the earth's surface. The acceleration due to gravity is given by Gd equals 4 by 3 into pi rho into R minus d into capital G. On dividing the above equation, we get Gd equals G capital R minus d upon R. Note, when the depth d equals 0, the value of G on the surface of the earth Gd equals G. When the depth d equals R, the value of G at the center of the earth Gd equals 0. Variation of G due to shape of earth. In this figure, you can see Re is greater than Rp. You can understand this now with this going off paragraph. As the earth is an oblate spheroid, its radius near the equator is more than its radius near poles. You can easily see that diagram where is poles and where is equator. Since for a source mass the acceleration due to gravity is inversely proportional to the square of the radius of the earth, it varies with latitude due to the shape of the earth. Gp upon Ge into R square E over R square P. This means that radius on equator is greater than radius on poles. Where Ge and Gp are the acceleration due to gravity at equator and poles, and Re and Rp are the radius of earth near the equators and poles respectively. From the above equation, it is clear that acceleration due to gravity is more at poles and less at the equator. So, if a person moves from the equator to poles, his weight across decreases as the value of G decreases. Variation of G due to rotation of earth. Consider a test mass small m is on a latitude making an angle with the equator. As we have studied, when a body is under rotation, every particle in the body makes circular motions about the axis of rotation. In the present case, the earth is under rotation with a constant angular velocity omega. Then the test mass moves in a circular path of radius r with an angular velocity omega. Applying parallelogram law of vectors, we get the magnitude of the apparent value of the gravitational force at the latitude mg dash square equals mg square plus mr omega square to the whole square plus 2 mg mr omega square cos 180 degree minus theta, that is equation first. We know r is the radius of the circular path and r is the radius of the earth. Then r equals r cos theta. Substituting r equals capital R cos theta, we get G dash equals G minus r omega square cos square theta s, where G is the apparent value of acceleration due to gravity at the latitude due to the rotation of earth, and g is the true value of gravity at the latitude without considering the rotation of earth. At poles theta equals 90 degree, so g dash is equals to g. At equator theta is equal to 0 degree. This means g dash equals to g minus capital R into omega square. Important conclusions on acceleration due to gravity. For an object placed at a height h, the acceleration due to gravity is less as compared to that placed on the surface. As depth increases, the value of acceleration due to gravity falls. The value of g is more at poles and less at the equator. Gravitational potential energy. The force of gravity is a conservative force, and we can calculate the potential energy of a body arising out of this force called the gravitational potential energy. If we consider a point at a height h1 from the surface of the earth and another point vertically above it at a height h2 from the surface, the work done in lifting the particle of mass m from the first F to the second position is denoted by W12. W12 equals force into displacement equals mg h2 minus h1. If we associated a potential energy capital W bracket small h at a point at a height h above the surface such that WH equals mgh plus W naught, where W naught equals constant, then it is clear that W12 equals WH2 minus WH1. The work done in moving the particle is just the difference of potential energy between its final and initial position. Observe that the constant W0 cancels out in. Setting H0 in the last equation, we get W H equals to 0 equals W0. H0 means points on the surface of the earth. Thus, W naught is the potential energy on the surface of the earth. F equals capital G into capital ME into small m over R square, where ME equals mass of the earth, M equals mass of the particle, and R its distance from the center of the earth. If we now calculate the work done in lifting a particle, R equal R1 to R2, R2 is greater than R1 along a vertical path. We get instead of W integration R1 to the R2 GMM over R square dr, that is further equals to minus capital G into capital M into small m 1 upon R square minus 1 upon R1. This gives WR equals minus G MEM over R plus W1, valid for small r is less than capital R. We learn that the gravitational potential energy associated with two particles of masses m1 and m2 separated by a distance r is given by V equals minus G m1 m2 over R. If we choose V equals 0 as R is greater than infinity, this is an example of the application of the superposition principle. Escape speed. Escape speed is the minimum speed with which a mass should be projected from the Earth's surface in order to escape Earth's gravitational field. You can say that in easy word, the minimum speed that is required for an object to free itself from the gravitational force exerted by a massive object. Now, you can see that in diagram escape velocity, you can see that how rocket is going out of the surface of the Earth. The formula of escape velocity is VE equals under root 2 gm over r, where r is the radius of the planet, capital G equals Newton's universal constant of gravity, and capital M equals mass of the planet. The escape speed for any given distance is mathematically expressed as VE equal under root 2 g m r, where VE is the escape speed, G is the universal gravitational constant, whose value is similar to 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 meter cube kilogram inverse into second inverse square. M is the mass of the massive body, the body from which the object is to be escaped from. Small r is the distance from the center of the massive body to the object. Derivation of escape speed. In general, escape speed is achieved when the object moves with a velocity at which the arithmetic sum of the object's gravitational potential energy and its kinetic energy equates to 0. That is, the object should possess greater kinetic energy than the gravitational potential energy to escape to infinity. The simplest way of deriving the formula is by using the concept of conservation of energy. Let us assume that the object is trying to escape from a planet which is uniform circular in nature by moving away from it. The prime force acting on such an object will be the planet's gravity. As we know, kinetic energy K and the gravitational potential energy UG are the only two kinds of energy associated here. By the principle of conservation of energy, we can write K plus UG, that is initial, equals K plus UG, that is final, where K equals 1 upon 2 mv square, U equals capital G into capital M into small m over r. Here UGF is 0 as the distance is infinity, and Kf will also be 0 as final velocity v 0. Thus, we get 1 upon 2 mv square E minus G capital M into small m over r equals 0 plus 0 into half mv square E, that is equal to G m over r. This is the minimum velocity required to escape from the gravitational influence of massive body. The escape speed of the Earth at the surface is approximately 11.86 kilometers per second. The final formula is VE under root 2 gm over r. That means object should have a minimum of 11.186 kilometers initial velocity to escape from Earth's gravity and fly to infinite space. Earth satellites, that you can see how the satellite is moving on the axis of Earth. Earth satellites are objects will revolve around the Earth. Their motion is very similar to the motion of planets around the Sun, and hence Kepler's law of planetary motions are equally applicable to them. In particular, their orbits around the Earth are circular or elliptic. Moon is the only natural satellite of the Earth with a near circular orbit with a time period of approximately 27.3 days, which are roughly equal to the rotational period of the Moon about its own axis. Since 1957, advances in technology have enabled many countries, including India, to launch artificial Earth satellites for practical use in fields like telecommunication, geophysics, and meteorology. We will consider a satellite in a circular orbit of a distance capital R into capital E plus h from the center of the Earth, where capital R into capital E equals radius of the Earth. If m is the mass of the satellite and v its speed, the centripetal force required for this orbit is F centripetal equals mv square over Re plus h, that is equation first. Directed towards the center, this centripetal force is provided by the gravitational force, which is F gravitational equals g small m into capital M Re plus h square, that is equation 2, where Me is the mass of the Earth, equating RHS of equation 1 and 2, and cancelling out m, we get v square equals gme Re plus h, equation number 3. Thus, v decreases, h increases. From equation 3, the speed v for h equals 0 is v square equals h plus 0. This equals to capital G into capital M over Re, that is equals to small g into capital Re, that is equation 4th, where we have used the relation small g equal capital G m over Re square. In every orbit, the satellite traverses a distance 2 pi Re plus h with speed v. Its time period t therefore is t equals 2 pi Re plus h over v equals 2 pi Re plus h 3 by 2 over under root gme, that is equation 5. On substitution of value of v from equation 3, squaring both sides of equation 5, we get t square equal k Re plus hq, where k equals 4 pi square over gme, that is equation 6th, which is Kepler law of periods as applied to a motion of satellites around the Earth. For a satellite very close to the surface of the Earth, h can be neglected in comparison to Re in equation 6th. Hence, for such satellites, t is t naught, where t naught equals 2 pi under root Re over g. If we substitute the numerical value g 9.8 meter second inverse and Re equals 6,400 kilometers, we get T naught equals 2 pi under root 6.4 into 10 to the power 6 over 9.8 second, which is approximately 85 minutes. Energy of an orbiting satellite. The kinetic energy of the satellite in a circular orbit with speed v is ke equals half mv square. Taking equation 3, gmme over 2 re plus h, considering gravitational potential energy at infinity to be 0. The potential energy at distance REH from the center of the earth is PE, that is equals to minus G small m into capital ME over RE plus H. The kinetic energy is positive, where the potential energy is negative. However, in magnitude the kinetic energy is half the potential energy. So, the total energy is E equals kinetic energy plus potential energy, that is equals to minus G m m E over 2 R E plus H. The total energy of an circularly orbiting satellite is thus negative, with the potential energy being negative, but twice is the magnitude of the positive kinetic energy. Where the orbit of a satellite becomes elliptic, both the kinetic energy and potential energy vary from point to point. The total energy which remains constant is negative, as in the circular orbit case. This is what we expect, since, as we have discussed before, if the total energy is positive or 0, the object escapes to infinity. Satellites are always at finite distance from the earth, and hence their energies cannot be positive or 0. Geostationary and polar satellites. These satellites are placed into orbit at a distance of around 35,800 kilometers from the Earth's surface. They rotate in the same direction as the Earth, and one revolution of such satellite is the same as one day on the Earth, roughly 24 hours. This means that as seen from Earth, these satellites will appear to be at the same spot throughout. Hence the name geostationary satellites. These satellites are used as communication satellites and for weather based applications. Now, you can say that how geostationary satellites are moving. Polar satellites revolve around the Earth in a north-south direction around the Earth, as opposed to east-west like the geostationary satellites. They are very useful in applications where the field vision of the entire Earth is required in a single day. Since the entire Earth moves below them, this can be done easily. They are used in weather applications. We are predicting weather and climate based disasters can be done in a short time. Now, you can easily see that how polar orbit satellites are moving. Weightlessness. Weightlessness is the complete or near complete absence of the sensation of weight. This is also termed 0 G, although the more correct term is 0 G force. It occurs in the absence of any contact forces upon objects, including the human body.